All right, we're live. So Houdini 21 is out. I bet the bullet. Actually, I did two things, and we're gonna take a look at this. I did two things today that were probably not the greatest ideas, but really wanted to give this a try. So we're actually going to do this. We're going to do a new project. And it's going to be we're going to open this here up, and we're going to go to local projects, Unity, and we've got Truck-Kun here, and we're just going to do this. We're going to do we're just going to rename these. This one's just going to be old. This one here, old. There we go. None of these I care about. I really don't actually want any of that. There we go. Local. Version control. There we go. Universal 3D. Oh, that didn't take long at all. Built-in. Universal. Yeah, we want Universal 3D. Europe. Yeah, Europe is what we want. Okay, so here we go. Create project. I want to build the actual map. So we're gonna actually try and we're gonna take a look at the actual map. As soon as it finishes building. Someday. Over the rainbow. All right, let's take a look at this map. think it went to home downloads. Yeah, it went to downloads. Let's take a look at this. Let's see what this looks like. 5.2 gigs. Ooh, that's fucking huge. I'm guessing this is still loading in. Interesting. Oh, there we go. Look at that. There are actually textures here. Like baked into this. This is interesting. I did notice this. Actually, I guess that is current. This is really nice. What's this red though? Oh, that's just piping. Interesting. This is a fairly sizable map. All things considering, this map's actually pretty sizable. Apparently it's accurate for like the slopes. That does make sense how it comes down and up, right? Because like this is a bit of a dip over here if I remember correctly. Dips down a bit. But what's going on here? What's this? What's up with this? Oh, that's so much nicer. You can actually drive under that. Actually, you might not be able to. And that might still be too close to the ground. We'll have to we'll find out when we get it into Unity. Do now how do I bring it in again? I think it's just this one custom package. Actually, why am I on? I think I'm on the wrong thing here. Oh no, I'm still on software and game dev. Why am I here? I should edit this. What the fuck sponsorship is this? What do I have to agree to? We'll say sure, why not? Oh wow. Look at that. I qualify apparently for the oh wait, I'm probably not allowed to share that. I qualify apparently for some sponsorships. It's like you can make $15 base pay and then $25 per new user. Yeah, nobody's signing up. Nobody's gonna watch me and sign up. Matchmasters, I can competitive. Uh, these are all through Stream Elements though. Interesting. The sponsorship's so bad. Is this still loading? Oh, it did load. It's right here. Import. The question I always find myself in with these ones is, hey, I am so small, right? That they are not going to get anything out of me, right? And I don't even think that I could play the game for 2 hours without having to spend money, right? Like I don't think I could play any of those games for 2 hours without actually having to invest actual real money into it, which would be more money than I actually ever make off of it. And the reason I say that is because it's going to require like 2 hours of gameplay. And how do you get 2 hours of gameplay out of a game that has artificial caps into it to prevent you from going further, right? So you spend money to do it. It's just like there's legitimately no way to do it. Unless they're giving me codes. Then I'd be able to do it, but I don't think I could stay like hyped about a freaking gotcha game, gotcha mobile game thing for long enough for 2 hours. Like, how do you hype that shit? I don't even get it. Oh fuck! Tomorrow we're going grocery shopping. So much fun. So much fun. Someday over the rainbow. Anyways, so I think I figured out how I want to go about getting the um, working out the systems for the roads. And so what I'm thinking is we just do this, right? And we do spline or curve. I spell curve, you know. No, not cube. Curve. I guess we'll just throw down a cube so we have it. Uh, curve. Um, here, right? So we throw down these. We go to set top, right? Sure, whatever. There, right? Then we sweep, right? And we don't go for a round, we go for a ribbon. But I don't think we go for a regular ribbon. We go for a square perspective. Right there. There, now we've got it, right? And then all we have to do is move it down, right? We just move it down a little bit, right? And the width is what control the width here is what controls the whatchamacallit. Although I guess we could do a ribbon, right? So if we go with a ribbon, right? There. And then all we do is we extrude. Poly extrude. Sorry. Poly extrude. Like this. Let me just bring this up like this. Just like that. Look at that. We're done. Why does it have all the lines? That's not at all what it's supposed to do. Where are all the lines coming from? Hmm. I still don't know where we're getting these lines from. There's the rows. Points? No. Rows and columns. Quads. Like this kind of makes sense, but why is the poly extrude adding extra geometry to it? I don't think I've ever seen it do that before. Where it actually adds extra geometry. Mm-hmm. This is a square tube. The problem with this is that it requires like, yeah. Wait, why is that wow? Why wow? Questions? Question mark? What's this? This is an app called Houdini. And trying to figure out why this is happening, but I'm not entirely sure why. Because like I've never seen it do this before on a poly extrude where it adds geometry. Because like this is what it looked like before, right? If we come down here, see we don't have a bunch of geometry here. And then we do the poly extrude and now all of a sudden we have all these lines, all this geo here. And I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. Oh, it finished. This is a game that I'm very, very slowly working on. Um, like incredibly slowly working. Whee! Oh, that's what that is. That actually works. This actually works for now. You know what? I think I think this works as a test map. It's perfect. These are in the sky. What just happened? There we go. No, I want this here specifically, this one. Because this piece here needs to come down. There's no way that all of these lines are one piece. These buses work though. Look at the buses. Oh my god, this is great. How do I do the FPS in this again? Um Unity show FPS stats. Oh right, it's a stats thing in the corner, right? Where's my camera? Let's see how well this performs. You know what? It's not terrible. I think we can actually work with this. This map actually is fairly well done. I'm a bit surprised. There's the IKEA logo. So what we got to do is we've got to put a bunch of people on here, and we're gonna do that using the Unity. Sorry, not the Unity. The what is this? Weird. Are these lights? Yeah, whatever. Figure it out later. The bus is nice though. I do like this bus. We can work with this. Although one of the things that we have to do is we have to create a shader for the windows, because I don't actually want you to be able to see through windows. Seeing through windows bad, except for this window. This window you need to be able to see through. But I think also like we might just not have window. Like that might be the way to go for this one. Although I don't think that there's actually a window here. I could be wrong. No, there is. Yeah, it's a giant fucking window. This is actually supposed to be a TV. Mm. We come down to here. This building here. Yeah, this building here. What's here in actual Tokyo? Shibuya? If I'm not mistaken, this building right here. I'm like 90% sure. This building here actually has a YouTuber bar in it. I've been to it. It's actually a really nice bar. Let's go to Shibuya. Oh, they're back again. Is this a different site? Give me a second. Let's see what this. Oh wow, they've been they're following apparently. Let's see how long. Let's see if they've got 0 following. You know, we know nothing about them. What are they selling here? You can share your screen in a Kick community to help you hit. Uh, see the problem with this person's thing is that they think that I would ever monetize on Kick, and I wouldn't. Um, especially not for $1,000. Um, a thousand fakey fake dollars. I would not monetize on Kick. So we're just gonna ban them because they're a bot. They're not a real people. Anyway, so if we come down to Shibuya Crossing, Shibuya Crossing. There we go. Then we drop a. Where's the little guy here that we want to drop? I feel like he's missing, like the little. Wait a second, that's an anime person now. I'm not crazy, right? It looks like a cat girl of some kind. Is there something going on? Okay. Do. I went too far. Let's get back to Shibuya. Oops. There it is. Is this it? No, that's not it. We are close though. Oh, here we go. I want to go down here. Hey, I was right. It is that building. This building here. This one here. Right up here is a YouTuber bar called Lost. It's like right in here. See? There it is. Right up here. I was on the other side, wasn't I? Oh, no, yeah. It's right up here, right in here. And this, I sat like right here. No, I sat like right here. And had a drink. I was like right where this guy in the white is. And these are actually really good. Their drinks are phenomenal. The drinks are super good. Um, for anybody that doesn't know, this bar is amazing. It's actually really good. Um, and so you can see outside. And this is the door. You slide this over, the gotcha and everything. You slide it over, and it's amazing. And it's Chris Rod. It's this guy's YouTube. It's this guy's bar. Yeah. And it's in this building, although that's not the right building. This is right though. This building here is correct. This one's not, but I don't really care. It's good enough. I don't remember this building being there. You can definitely walk under that. It's great. 10 out of 10. Oh, they just put a wall there. Interesting. They're like, nope. You're supposed to be able to go through. You can actually walk under this. Interesting. Do, 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 do. All right. So now there's only a couple things that we need to do. We're gonna bring in. We're gonna make the truck. I think that's probably the first thing that we should do is probably make the truck. And create folder. Create folder vehicles. They even have the puppies, by the way. Look at the puppy. And the sakura tree is interesting. Didn't even notice that. All right, and then how do we do this? Like, what do we do for this again? We create the. I feel like I've not done this in forever, and because of that, I'm 8 shades of being silly right now. Scripts. We'll just make a scripts folder. Can I do an underscore and pop it to the top? Yeah, beautiful. Okay, then we'll do this and we'll do folder vehicles. I'm not actually sure what this is going to open it in. I wonder if it will transfer over any of the settings that I had previously. Oh, it did. Sweet mother of yes. I found out that I really just don't like actually having Copilot. I think it feels like it makes me dumber. It takes the joy out of programming. There we go. That's better. Welcome back, AJ. We're doing some C# today. We're gonna do the vehicle and start work on actual. Now that I've got a play area and we've got some idea of like what things are actually going to be like, I feel much more confident. And I this actually works. Like as is, this just works out of the box. This looks right for what I'm looking for. There is obviously going to be some problems with like I think some of the textures are a bit high and stuff like that, but we can tease that out. Unity uh create um player controller. Is this it?
Hi everyone, in this video we'll learn.
No, there were specific people that we usually watched. Unity player movement. I like Ashdev, but like I don't like I I'm not a big fan of his. They put this for Lucy. Oh. First person controller Unity. Double jump. Oh, like that's one. That one's mine. That's the car physics one. Code Monkey. I think it's Code Monkey. No, no. Code Monkey usually does good stuff. Input system. How to use the new input system. Here we go.
So here I am, and as I press the spacebar, yep, there you go, I've got unlocked. Until you find the benefits of this system are immense. Once you have everything set up in your game working with the actions that you defined, after that's done, then you're getting a lecture taken from my Ultimate Unity overview course. Shader graph, assembly definitions, pro builder, the video was easy to handle input from multiple. But naturally, all of those awesome features come at the cost of slightly more complexity. However, once you understand how it's all set up, what is an action, what is an input, and so on, once you understand the basics of the system, it's actually quite simple to use. Okay, so let's learn how it works. First up, we need to install it by going into the package manager. Make sure you're on the Unity registry, then scroll down and find the input system package. Then just go ahead and install.
Right, we need that input system. What was it again? Man, I am so out of like my depth when it comes to Unity sometimes. Like what I really want is I want to have sorry, just let me think if I can come up with the right words for this. What I want, like ideally, is actually not Unity. I want and I prefer Unreal, right, over Unity. But like what I really want is is I want um actually, before I do anything. I want Unreal 4 rendering in Unreal 5. UE4 rendering in UE5. Right? Because like the whole like nanite lumen stuff actually just does not feel good at all. Like at all. Scripts, create to a, I think it's a mono behavior that we want. Do, 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 do. There it is, package manager. And we want ooh, here we go. Okay, so the input system's already there. Getting started with Unity input system. Create an action. There was a way to do this using there was a specific type that we wanted. Create a, it's not a mono behavior, not a testing train text, not UI, not timeline. There's a specific type of thing that we were looking for.
Install it. And also over here, you've got a whole bunch of samples that you can download to inspect if you want to see how they all work. So these are some very specific scenarios, so maybe they can be helpful. Now, when you install, you might see a message talking about enabling the new input system or the old input measure. You've got two options. You can click on yes, which will disable the old input measure and enable to start actually using the new input system. The first thing you need is to create an input actions asset. This is an actual asset in your project files. So you just right click on some folder, go into create, and then scroll down here until you find the input actions. So create it, give it a name.
Create folder. Input. Input system. Input action. Is this it? Gas. Or sorry, wait. Vehicle input. Is this it? Oh, God damn it. I don't even remember. Get input directly from the input device. Getting input indirectly through action inputs. I think we want action inputs. Player input. And we'll generate a Truck-Kun. apply. There. Oh, it's beautiful. Look, it's there. Okay. Create action. We don't need to create action. We have UI. That works. Okay. Yeah, that seems about right. So we're going to start with a box. Our player is initially going to be a box. Do create. No, then we just import and we need a vehicle. I think I've got a vehicle either on Fab or on the Unity asset store that we can use. Fab.com, Unity asset store. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Vehicle. We could just use that. Although I don't know if the wheels are separate on that. And I feel like they're not. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of just want to switch over to Unreal. Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's do it. Let's just. We're just gonna save. I'm just gonna do Unreal. I really just don't want to do Unity right now. I feel like we can optimize our way out of. I feel like we can make Unreal work while using Unreal. I don't even remember what my last one was. You know what? I think it was this one. While that's loading, I want to take a look at this. That's kind of interesting. Chaos Visual Debugger. I think this one actually has one of the trucks that I could actually potentially use somewhere in here. No, not this one. That's it. Right there. No, that's a different one. God damn it. Ah, whatever. My library. What is this? EasySynth is a Unreal uh, for the easy creation of image data sets. Okay. I think this one is the one where I have everything set up and we haven't done too much. Project settings. Nanite? Yeah, Lumen. Or global illumination. Yeah, so this is where we've like turned off everything. And then when we hit play, we should see stat FPS. Stat unit. Why is the input so delayed? That's pretty crazy. What's going on with the input there? Yeah, the input delay is actually a problem. But that's different, which is kind of interesting. I've not seen that. That must be a new one. I like that memory, the memory one. This is this map here is 4.3 gigs. That's great. I love this. That's that's amazing. The new stats is actually kind of nice. Um, add to project. Oh, you know what? I think it might have been optimization test. Might actually optimization test might actually be the right one. Don't add. Yeah, because this performance test one doesn't have the map. And I was actually trying to test on a map, a specific map. Let's try. This is also not it. It's not retarget. Huh. Weird. Weird, weird, weird. Um, you know what we could also do? Keep putting off actual work. Okay. Unreal Engine remove Unreal Engine 5 remove nanite and lumen.
Hello everyone. In this tutorial, we will create a starting template that is very lightweight, very simple. You can remember it from maybe Unreal 4 when we started a new project in Unreal 4. We had a very simple template that
All right, so it's either performance test or optimization test. I want to say performance test is probably the one that we want. We're just gonna go with that. We're just gonna base everything off of this one and call it a day. In the meantime, we're doing an update, and then we'll why is this queued and not downloading currently? One of these is important, and the other one is fucking Fortnite, apparently. Okay, so weird input lag. We'll have to figure out why that's happening. But we'll deal with that later. In the meantime, oops. No more Unity conversion. Uh I every time I go to open like every time I go to do stuff in Unity, I'm just like I really don't want to. There's I find that um I just tend to it's Danny, by the way. Oh, hey. Ah. How are things, Danny? Yeah, I find that like Unity doesn't really map like the Unity systems don't map well to the way I think about game dev as well as the Unreal systems. I was actually just thinking about you the other like yesterday, wondering how things were on your side. I'll be right back though. I need to grab a drink. Hey, so how Danny, how did um words are hard. How did are you still working on your what was it? Yeah, the word thing, the horror game. Abdul Abdul say say as I'll just go with Abdul. Excuse me. I remember correctly, the input system on Unity isn't too bad. But it's not great. It's kind of UE5 enhanced input system like, but we're gonna find out if this map is gonna be as unperformant as the other Japanese city map that I have. Because holy shit, is it bad? It's so bad. Performance wise. It's just really, 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 really bad. This is our Truck-Kun. If I remember correctly, this is actually the Truck-Kun that we've been using. I hate that I can't actually just go to this inside of here anymore. Like Fab actually requires you to open up the browser. Ugh, so annoying. Not bad. How about you? Are things going on your side? Yeah, that about sums up everything, right? Hmm. I don't remember this. Learned SimD, so that's good. A good part. I feel like I'm blanking on everything today. I don't remember what SimD is anymore. Oh, okay, yeah. Are you do wait, can you do I thought you needed you needed assembler for SimD. No, was it assembler? No. I think you can do it in certain circumstances outside of an assembler. Yeah, because like the SimD stuff is like how you get high performance stuff, right? As long as you have multiple sets of data to work on at the same time, it's good. Yeah, but like doesn't it require calls directly through assembler to actually execute SimD? Can you do SimD from C++ and or C or whatever? Can you do SimD from C++? Yeah, that it's complicated though, right? If I'm not mistaken. Oh, it's not. And do you have to go okay, interesting. Is it Intel specific or does Intel and AMD share? Yeah, okay. I had a feeling that it probably would because, you know, I know that there's probably going to be some that are like specific to Intel and specific to AMD, but you know, AF's ABS-PH. Hmm. Value of each packed half precision 16-bit floating point element in V2 finds the absolute value of each half precision 16-bit floating point element in V2, storing the result in dist. DST. DST is a register, isn't it? SCE instructions for now. Ah, okay. Oh, I'm just like looking through them in general. Ooh. Wait, you can do a shift? Like these are bit shifts on multiples, right? Shift packed 32-bit integers in a left by count. Interesting. So like the way this would work is you give it effectively a list of of integers and it shifts all of them, correct? You pack in elements that can fit into that one looks like 16-bit size. Yeah, this one should be a 16-bit. Oh, okay, so this would be effectively two 32-bit integers, right? Because it all depends on what an M64 is. What is an M64? I guess that's kind of like where things start, right? Ooh, floor. Round the packed double precision 64-bit floating point elements in a down to integer value. Like the M64. So I'm fairly certain that M64 is going to be your integer size. It's an integer a binary integer size, right? And then M128I is it's a bit confusing still. Max size. Yeah. Yeah, I is for int. This is an integer for sure. D for double. What's M then? Because ABS should. This has a post processing volume on it that I don't like. If I hit play, will we still see it? Ugh. Ugh. Um, I forgot to actually, yeah. There we go. I think this looks better inside of Unity than it does in Unreal. I still prefer like, yeah. There's a bunch of there's a bunch of post processing effects that are bothering me. That might be the crux of the problem there. Mm-hmm. Oh, I hate it. So just trying to see what one you want to continue with so far. I don't know. It's such a hard it's a hard decision because like for for the act of programming, I prefer Unreal, right? Like I prefer the Unreal systems for programming, but Unity Unity is arguably better for what I'm trying to do in a lot of aspects, right? None like the it's difficult because like so like Unity has its own problems, right? Like everything has a everything's a give and take, right? Potato runner. Well, no, so like Unity will be all right. Well, okay. So if I do this right, and I open up the Unity version, Unity out of the box looks better for what I'm building, right? But I don't remember how to use the input system from Unity. I can go learn it. It's not a problem, right? I have to relearn how to do it. Is all. Right? But like out of the box, this looks like exactly what I want. Right? Like this is what we want. And the FPS is better out of box, right? By default, just better FPS. Is it still loading? Yeah, it's still loading. But like Unity has its own problems, right? Now I could probably get Unreal to look like this. But like out of the box, this runs at 60 and Unreal doesn't, right? And it's Unreal's got all of its own problems.
So you may have used the new input.
Yeah. Yeah. I should as much as I really want to use Unreal, I should just use Unity. I should just use Unity.
Input system before, and chances are you did so by adding a player input component, use the default input mappings, and you probably use the send message behavior or invoke Unity events, and then just use the player input component to manage all your input. This probably worked just fine, but it didn't feel quite right just using built-in components for something that could be built yourself. And since you're running one thing to procrastinate with, you want to dive into making a perfectly scalable input system, even though what you already have is just fine for your prototype. That's where I will give you the satisfaction of learning how to architect a scalable input system in this video. So what I will do is explain a simple diagram to try to visualize how the system is going to work, then I'll implement an input system based on what I'm talking about, and I'll try to do that as simply as possible while still getting the message across. Okay, first we need to visualize how we should be interacting with the way Unity presents their input system. Let's say this is a PS4 controller and you press the X button on here. Unity takes that, does a bunch of stuff in it that we
To some degree, yeah. So both of them I have to do a lot of building up. But with Unreal, I have to tear down a lot of the default rendering stuff to get it right, and then I have to build back up. So there's a little bit of tear down and build back up in Unreal. Now, the thing is that like I could get Unreal to look like this, right? Do I know exactly how I would do that offhand by default, like out of the box? No, I do not. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But I could get Unreal to look like this, right? Because Unreal is capable of looking like this, right? There's nothing stopping Unreal from looking like this. It's just a matter of like effort, right? Like it's going to take a little bit of effort to get Unreal to look like this. But then the rest of the game, the actual complicated hard parts of like building out the game are better in Unreal in my opinion, right? But getting Unreal to look like this is challenging to me because I don't really know what I'm doing. But like like do we go through the process of getting Unreal to look like that, or do we just go straight with Unity and call it a day, right? Does this even have post processing? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I guess that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Okay, let's open this level back up again. We're gonna open it up and we're gonna play around and see what we can do, because it runs like shit right now. It should not be running at 30 frames per second. It should be running at 60, and the reflections are fucking terrible. And then we don't have any of the what was it? We don't have any of the those weren't in the when I hit play, the transparency went away on these. Oh no, they're still there. Weird. Okay. Okay. So we're at 36 FPS right now. I'm going the dumb route right now because I have no idea or passion at the moment to make games. So I'm just learning from the ground up to do 3D stuff and see how that goes. That's a great idea. I need to fix the reflections. Yeah, the reflections on the glass are a problem. And I think if I go like this and I do quad overdraw. Do optimization views. Quad overdraw. Yeah, look at that. There's all of our problems. The glass is really a problem. I need to fix, right? And we need to fix some bloom and stuff like that, right? I think the intensity is a bit high. Bring that down a bit. There. Mm. Ray. Ray light scattering. What if we turn this more of a white? No, we need a little bit of blue. All right, so let's start with the glass first. Let's start with we'll start with the glass, and that's going to make a bit of a difference right there. Right? That's metal. Materials. Snow? There's a snow material? Why is there a snow material? Interesting. Okay, what if I look at this specifically? Let's edit the blueprint. Hmm. What is this? Oh, what? Oh, it's literally him. Counter. Okay. There's a bunch of spotlights in here. Interesting. Back with water. All right, welcome back. There it is right there in all glass. Okay, so if we take the transparency, or does this even have transparency? It's translucent. Let's say opaque. Oof. Oof. um, no, no, they did not. I think, but that's also fine. We're gonna go for opaque, and then this here is going to be for roughness. We want this to be a static number. Let's just do this for now. We'll hit play and we'll take us. There we go. Look at that. So what's the difference between the many different glass types? There's this glass. What's going on with this glass? Oh, I don't think this is real glass. Yeah, it's not. I'm not gonna use the mass system. I found a better way to do it. Yeah, I think I should just stick with this because this actually works. Is this just unlit? Is that what it is? This almost feels unlit. Let me try that in this first. I know I keep jumping back and forth. I'm gonna try that real quick here. We're just gonna try unlit. Let's put a processing volume in here and just say unlit. See what happens. What's the worst? The absolute worst that can happen. Let's do it. Let's see what unlit looks like. Do, do, do. Where'd it go? Hmm. What was it? It was extend infinite. Okay, and then here. think it's just this. And then what is it again? This is, ooh. Do, do, do. Shading? Interesting. Oh, interesting. Okay, what was it? Texture over. Fuck, I don't remember the name anymore. It's been so long that I had forgotten the name of the thing that I need. Unreal Engine post processing X.
So you don't understand post-processing effects. Not a problem. If you go up and click post-processing volume, you will find a bunch of settings to play with on the right. To put it simply, as far as the average person is concerned, these are it's pronounced vignette. I just wanted to see your reaction to that pronunciation. But jokes aside, it adds that dramatic shadow border effect that makes everything look awesome. My other min and max values are controlled here. Chromatic aberration controls that distorted 3D effect. White. Same controls for the shadows. You're seeing to look like one of those old grainy recordings from those ancient documentaries. All of your ray tracing options are controlled down here, and that's really all the main things that I usually mess with. Like for real, if you just combine fog, lighting, and atmosphere with the post-processing settings.
What's up guys, Philosophy from Pitchfork Academy here, back with another Unreal Engine 5 material tutorial. In this video, I'll show you how to create a simple post-process cell shading effect. It's similar to my ultimate post-process cell shader tutorial, but streamlined with only the necessary features to get you started, along with some new tricks I've learned to help improve the overall effect and performance. But just before we get started, if you guys like what we do here and you want to connect with more like-minded people, access to our Discord server, Mizzo Dizzo, is available for just $1.
I'm just gonna do this and this and this and this and that.
Per month via Patreon. The Discord server is becoming a pretty cool place to be, with tons of very cool, very helpful, and very smart people, as well as an integrated AI chatbot to help you with all of your Unreal Engine 5 related questions. Your $50 actually goes towards that AI chatbot because it is a paid model and is indeed very clever, as well as helping support us and what we do here at Pitchfork Academy. Without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. All right, here we are in Unreal Engine 5.6, and the first thing that I want to do is just make a materials folder if I don't already have one, so I'll just make a new folder and call it materials, and then inside of here, I'll create a folder for post process, just so we keep our materials folder organized, and then inside of here, I'll finally right click and create a material, and I'll name this m_pp for post process _ cell, and then I'll double click to open this up. Great. Now right away we can change the material domain on the left from surface to post process, and we should only have one output pin or miss a color, and then the other thing we need to do is scroll down in the details panel and find blendable location and change it from scene color after tone mapping to scene color before DOF. And then or miss a color, and then the other thing we need to do is scroll down in the details panel and find blendable location and change it from scene color after tone mapping to scene color before DOF.
DOF.
And then from here, we can start to get out some nodes to create the cell shading effect. The first node that we'll need is a scene texture node, so I can search for that. And then this has a lot of settings on it as well over on the left under scene texture ID. So we can change it from scene color to the post process input 0. And essentially what this is our scene as we see it normally. So if I plug this in, you can see the preview sphere here. It looks just as normal as you expect from in a normal material or in your level. So this just gets the scene that we usually see.
This doesn't look right. Oh no, this is right. Is this it? No, it's base color, isn't it? Is this it? Save. Give me a second here. I'm just gonna try this first. Holy shit, it did work. Okay, let's hit play and see what happens. That is better. I still wonder why it's at 30. Actually, no, I don't wonder why it's at 30. It's in the editor. The editor's fucking garbage. That actually is closer. There we go. That didn't take long. I forgot about that the Unreal editor actually just takes a lot. And then okay, so now we have to solve for this. And this is the we could go none. Oh, that's mobile. Oops, my bad. Right now we're using TSR, and I think TAA might be better. No. TAA makes a huge difference. What about none? So this is none. No anti-aliasing. TAA. Let's take a look at TAA. This is mass. No, this is none. God damn it. Why won't it change? Oh, apparently I can't pick I can't pick mass. This flickering annoys the fuck out of me. This is what we were using. There we go. Let's take a look at that. FXAA. I think that seems to be the best so far for distance. All right. How are we on performance now? Okay, we're at 36. I think that building has to be redesigned because, yeah, the yeah, the lines are too much on the side here. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say. All right. Anyways, let's throw down a starting point so we don't have to worry about where we're at. And now we always start here. Look at that input delay, eh? No, input delay is gone. All right.
And then after that, we can copy this and change it from post-process input 0 to base color for lighting. And then from here, we need to get 2 desaturation nodes.
Base color for lighting. And then we do this, and this one is this one.
So just get 1 and paste it down below. And the color goes into the first pin, and it can be left blank on the fraction part. I'm just gonna move this up.
What does this do? Kind of curious. Oh, cool. Now everything's black and white, except for this. What's going on here?
Here slightly. And then we just need to divide these together, make sure that the post-process input 0 goes into A, and then after that we can saturate it.
Let's see what this looks like. Oh, interesting. I didn't even notice this. Look at that. Okay.
This just keeps it between 0 and 1. Now, I'll plug this in here so we can preview what this does. This just returns our lighting information without any color, and you can actually see the same thing if you go back to your level and change it from lit to detail lighting. This returns a similar channel of information, and basically we're going to use this to create a harsh black and white mask instead of a gradient, as you see here. I'll change this back to lit and bring my material back. All right, after the saturate, to remove a pin like that, by the way, you just hold Alt and click on it, and it will disengage it. After this, we need a way to control where that band starts, so I'll get a saturate, or sorry, not a saturate, a subtract node, and then I'll get a scalar parameter. I'll hold S and click on my keyboard to get one of those, and I'll call this shadow bias. Default value for this needs to be 0.5, meaning half.
Okay, so we're going to do a subtract. And then this here, we want to make this a parameter. Do I do this and then convert to parameter? Yeah, there we go. Shadow bias. And we're going to default that to 0.5. And we're going to see what this does.
Black and white. That's where we'll get our line for the 2 different shadow bands, or 2 different light bands, I guess. After this, we can grab a multiply node, and I'll just copy and paste this shadow bias, and I'll call this shadow contrast. And this can be a pretty high value. I'll set it to 50 by default. And then we need to...
We're going to multiply, apparently. Mm, 50. Mm-hmm. What's this do? Interesting. Look at that. I wonder why these are flickering.
To saturate it once more. Just make sure that the values stay.
I almost feel like we shouldn't.
Between 0 and 1, and then we can drag off of this and search for a reroute declaration node, and I'll call this lighting. And now we can basically right click anywhere and search for lighting, and we will get the same information that is before this node.
Wait, what?
Call this lighting. Saturate it once more. Just make sure that the values stay between 0 and 1, and then we can drag off of this and search for a reroute declaration node, and I'll call
Reroute declaration node? Oh,
this lighting. And now we can basically right click anywhere and search for lighting, and we will get the same information that is before
oh, that's really cool.
this node. So it's just a local variable. Drag this down here, and I'll select all this, and click C, and I'll call this lighting info. And then from here we can go ahead and do the next step. So that's our lighting information. This creates the harsh band. I think we can actually visualize this really quickly. As you can see here, it doesn't look the best in its preview sphere here, but you get the idea. We have the lighter band and then the darker band here. So now let's go ahead and improve this. So down here we have our lighting, and we need to blend between our original color of the scene and a darker version of that color. That'll be the shadow. So to do that, we alert node, so I'll hold L and click, and the alpha will be the lighting. And then we can copy the base color for lighting node up here. And this again just returns our base color of the scene without any shadows or anything. So let's hold M and click for multiply and S for a scalar, and I'll call this shadow intensity. And default value I'll set to be 0.5. So we'll take our color need is a scene text. And then I'll get a scalar parameter, I'll hold S and click on my. So we'll take our color multiplied by the shadow intensity, and I'll call this. And this again just returns our base color of the scene without any shadows or anything. So let's hold M and click for multiply and S for a scalar, and I'll call this shadow intensity. And default value I'll set to be 0.5. So we'll take our color multiplied by the shadow intensity, and that goes into A, and then the base color default goes into B. So based on our black to white information here.
Okay, and then we're doing this. And then we're going to do a multiply. Multiply, it doesn't matter which side we go. We do this. I don't actually know if this resamples or if it just grabs the existing thing. Hey, look, we have that cell shading band now.
We're going to say where it's white, be the original base color, and where it's black, be the original base color multiplied by 0.5. Now if I plug this into this color, it should be similar. Yeah, so this looks correct. Obviously we don't see any color of the sky, but this is more in the lines of what we're going for. Next we can unplug from that. I'll just select it and drag it over, and then I'll click C and I'll just call it lighting band.
Oops.
Or actually, instead of lighting band, I'll just call it color. We'll just keep it simple, call it color. And then next, let's add a way to tint the shadows or
Sure.
the highlights, different colors. If you want to create more of a stylized look where the shadows maybe are more purplish blue color and maybe the highlights are more of a yellowish warm color, for example, if you wanted to do it like that. From there, we can drag off of the left node and search for a mask. And we need to make sure RG and B are all checked. Without this, this will return RGBA, which we don't want. We just want the 3 channels. It'll give us errors if we have 4 channels coming from that. And then we can hold M for multiply, and we'll plug the RGB mask into A. And the B will be 2 colors. So I'll hold 3 and click, and do that twice. I'll right click on both of them and convert them to parameters. The top one
Wait,
will be called
what?
and the B will be just want the 3 channels. It'll give us errors if we have 4 channels coming from that. And then we can hold M for multiply, and we'll plug the RGB mask into A. And
Oh, okay.
B will be 2 colors. So I'll hold 3 and click, and do that twice. I'll right click on both of them. Then we convert them to parameters. The top one will be called the tint shadow, and the bottom one will be called the tint highlight. I'll make them both white by default, so that way there's no change unless you go in and specify it yourself. And then we need another lamp node, so I'll hold L and click. The shadow will be the A, the highlight will be the B, and the alpha will again be our lighting that we set up here. Next, we can plug this into the multiply. And then we need to do another one of these masks just to keep it within this RGB range. And then from here, we can select all of this, click C.
Interesting.
Make a comment box, and we'll just call it tint colors.
Sup? I'm making a thing. Why? What's up? What's up? What am I doing wrong? I prefer Unreal over Unity. So I'm seeing if I can get what I want out of Unreal versus staying with Unity. Why? Do you have a problem with Unreal? Like, do you not like Unreal? Is Unreal a problem? No, it's just you hate Unreal for some reason. Jeez, why are you so mean? I really don't like this. I don't know if there's a way to get rid of it. Actually, that's not true. I believe there is.
Next, we just need to add a way to exclude this whole effect from the sky, so that way our sky doesn't become weird looking. At a certain distance, it will just stop working for the cell shading. So to do that, we can right click and search for scene texture again, and this one will be our post-process input 0. Drag this down.
I don't know if I'll go back. But I also don't know if I'm actually going to do this.
Here.
I'm testing.
And then off of here, we can search for component mask again, and we just need to make sure it's RGB. Check. Then we can copy these two nodes and put it up here, and this top one will become the scene depth. Literally, it returns the depth of.
Hmm. I yeah, no, I don't know.
Scene, we can visualize that maybe. There you go. So it gives you this black to white mask based on the distance of a pixel from the camera. So we can undo that now, and I'll right click and search for an if node, and then we'll plug in the scene depth to A, and the post-process input 0 into A is greater than B, and then A is less than B. Will be our cell shader. So basically, based on a certain distance from the camera, we're going to switch from doing the cell shading material logic and just our original scene, which in this case would be our clouds that are far away. So we need a value. So for the B, we can hold S and click for a scalar, and we'll call this disable distance. Wow, I can really not spell today. Let me try that one more time. Disable distance. And let's just
No, I haven't. I honestly don't know if I will.
this value to something crazy like 500,000, just to make sure that it's far away and our scene isn't being affected, but only the sky in a very far distance. Of course, you can play with this in your own projects, just make sure that it lines up with everything. That's why we turn it to a scalar. So we're going to go ahead and plug it into a emissive color. Then I'll select all of this and click C, and I'll call this disable effect.
Uh, 500.
then we can save, and good to go ahead and close out of this. And then we just need to right click on our material here and create material instance. I'll just leave it the same name since I only have the one. All right, now we can click on our post-process volume and search for material, and there should be an array here under post-process material. You can have multiple post-process materials in here, but for ours, obviously, we just have the one. So we'll click this plus one time and then choose, and then asset reference. Now we can click and drag in our material instance, and right away our scene becomes cel shaded. But you'll notice some issues right away if you find an area where it's transitioning from light to dark. For example, here we have this moving band, which looks pretty bad. So let's go ahead and fix this now. The couple ways that I found to fix it, one is in the post-process volume, just like our material instances. So I'll just click on search here and make sure I'm still on our post-process volume. And then from here, I'll search for global illumination, and we want to just check lumen to be off. Now a lot of people love lumen. It looks
I am going to make sure that lumen is off. There we go.
great in realistic projects, but for a cel shaded project, in my opinion, you don't need it, and it causes a lot of issues because it's constantly trying to update based on the lighting in your scene. So it works best with this cel shader to have lumen to be off. The next is reflection, so I'll just search this, and we have our reflection method here set to lumen. Now it might
Reflections.
work a little bit with reflections. You can experiment with lumen and screen space, but in my project, I'll just leave it to be none. It helps you get some performance back, and in a stylized project like this, you don't really need nice realistic reflections. And then the next thing that we can do is go to our skylight. And by default, most skylights are probably set to movable, which is, as you can see here, totally dynamic, slowest rendering. And for our skylight scene here, we probably want it to not be super dynamic, so I'll just set it to be static. As you can see, it straightens up the line right away. And if I hover over static, it says static light can't be changed in game, and it's fully baked lighting and fastest rendering. Now, whether or not you're using baked lighting or not, I still believe that it has the fastest rendering, unless overhead and stationary or movable, and it looks much better, so I just keep mine on static. The next thing we can do is go to our exponential height fog, and if I just back up a little bit and increase my fog density to 1 or 2, usually this would make the whole screen look super foggy in a normal project. But as you can see here, it's causing some weird issues, and this doesn't look foggy at all. So what I'll do is just set it back to the default, and I'll set the start distance to be 50,000. This should make sure that it pushes the fog back 50,000 units. Now, if you do want fog,
That already looks better. What is this? Is that a camera? That's a camera. Now we need the post-processing. Or sorry, anti-aliasing. And we'll play with this. This looks better. Yeah, there we go. I don't know what you're talking about. I made this. I think this one's the worst one, maybe? Yeah, that one's the worst. I think TAA is probably what I want.
your scene, I highly recommend checking out my material fog video where I show how to create a post-process material that has controls for all sorts of different fog effects. For example, fog based on distance from the camera, so you can have a different color up close, another color in the middle range, and another color farther away. And then also how to create fake height fog, where based on the distance from the 0 point in the world upwards, you can create a fall off of fog, similar to that with the exponential height fog, and it works with the post-process cell shader. So those two materials go hand in hand together, so I definitely recommend checking out that video on post-process fog material. Another tip I have is to fix the sort of weird sheen that you can get at certain angles with the cell shader. So as you can see here, we do get this sort of gradient from the camera outward based on the angle, and here you can see on the left here, this sort of banded line that moves with the camera. Well, this is actually being caused by the specular that is rendered into the scene, and you could go into each material and disable the specular value and set it to 0, but an easier way is to go into directional light and search for specular. As you can see here, the specular scale is set to 1, but what it can do is you can set it to 0, and it removes all of that extra specular highlights that we
Really?
don't need in our cell shader. And now if I adjust this on to be more realistic value or an angle, maybe like a 45-degree angle, you can see that it looks great, and there's no weird artifacting on our surfaces because we set our specular scale to 0. You can see here it says use with great care. Any value besides 1 is not physical. Can be used to artistically remove highlights, mimicking polarizing filters or photo touch-up. So this is a great use case for our material here for our cell shader. We want to turn this to 0 so we don't get any weird artifacts. Now we can double click to open up our material instance and just play around with some of the parameters that we created. So I'll just turn on everything here and we can take a look. The first is the disable distance. So if I back up a little bit and then lower this value to be much closer to 0, you can see as I bring it down, it becomes more of a closer effect to the camera. And basically it's disabling the post-process effect after this distance. So at 4,115 units here, it's disabling the cell shader and moving back to our default lighting. But what we want to do is set this back to a very high value, so at 500,000, just make sure that it's not affecting our scene.
Look at that. I think the specular was a problem. What just happened? Now we need motion blur. I think that's in the post-processing. Yeah, there we go. I don't want any reflections though. Like I actually don't want reflections. I thought I turned off reflections. What? That's not the type of relationship I have with my girlfriend. Yeah. 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 Like literally that, yeah. Um That's better. Not quite the look I'm going for. It's still a little bit too translucent, maybe. Yeah, we split everything. If I remember correctly, there is a thing over here that's going to prevent me from going further. No, it doesn't. I think the light is too bright. Is it this one? Do, 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 do. Oh, that's nice. I got rid of some of the shadows, the stuff that I don't like. What if I just do 0? Is it still looking super washed out? Ah, there we go. I'm not as washed out. Still a little washed out, but like not as bad. I have a feeling that we should probably go back into the post-processing effect, right? So if we go to here, we open this bad boy up here. And I feel like shadow bias of 5. No. Lighting. Shadow intensity.
Maybe we have a landscape in the distance. We don't want to affect that. You can play around with this just to make sure it works with your project. The shadow bias is going to be the area in which it switches from being a shadow to the highlight. So if I lower this, you can see it makes the scene brighter. If I raise it, it'll be darker. Usually you're going to keep this at 0.5. Maybe for an artistic decision, you can increase it to 0.55 or 0.45 on the lower end. But I do recommend leaving it at 0.5, halfway between light and dark. Shadow contrast is exactly what it sounds like. The lower you make this, the less contrast that line will have, and it'll revert more of the traditional lighting. But as we raise it, it becomes a harsher and harsher line to be more and more stylized. So I like to have a value anywhere between usually 50 and 500. For this video,
Where's my shadow contrast? Shadow intensity. Disable distance. Shadow biased. Where's my shadow contrast?
Maybe I'll just set it to be 200. You get a little bit of a soft edge on really rounded angles. For the most part, it's still a harsh shading transition between the light and the dark. Next is the shadow intensity. It's just how dark the shadows are. The lower you make this, the more realistic the shading will be, and the higher, obviously, the more stylized.
Let's go with 0.6. I think I made all... Oh, it's this one here. I think this is the shadow contrast. Right here. Shadow. With this, I can actually like kind of build what I'm looking for. So like I've got a map now. I can actually like run around in and play in and stuff like that. So actually gives me something to work towards. Now I just got to figure out like lighting and stuff like that. There's a bunch of lights here that we should just get rid of. There we go. No lighting for yo. No. Oh, that was your disc. Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. I still don't like how light it is. It's too bright. I need to figure out how to tone down the brightness. I think it's one of these values here, right? Like one of these because like this divide and then saturate, subtract, multiply. I think here we need a clamp. Oh. Okay, so it's still a bit too bright. Um, but it's probably the cell shader that I'm using that's just too bright. Pitchfork Academy seems interesting
What's
though.
up? Advanced cell shader. Is this
What's
isn't the
up,
one that I
guys?
just did?
Velocity here, back with another Unreal Engine 5 material tutorial. And in today's tutorial, we'll be looking at how to create an advanced material-based cell shader that is super customizable, and you can customize it to the needs of your art style.
I think I've got something in the marketplace, to be honest. Oops. Um, did this ever get updated? Yeah, it did. Okay. I don't know because they take away the price if you own it. And I've been going like I've been collecting the free assets for so long. I don't even know what was free and what wasn't. I think this one was the free one. Like this one's actually completely free, maybe? I don't know. But this one hasn't been updated since 2024. There's this one. This one's actually pretty decent, I think. But I think this one, yeah, this one's like a character one. And there's this one. This one might be even older. No. Maybe not. I don't know. Cell tune. I think this one's like one of the best ones. This one's usually well regarded, I think. This is the ideal look right here. Like this is the look that we want. Obviously with a skybox, but this is the look that I want. Mhm. And we all we were really doing was playing around with the idea of to see whether or not we could get what we wanted inside of Unreal. Yeah, you can ask a question. Is your question just going to be why not just use Unity? Ah, I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. Like, am I actually good at programming? It depends. Like, good is such a is an arbitrary metric, right? And it's I really have a lot of intermediate knowledge. Well, what do you mean by intermediate knowledge? Because like it really depends. Because like when it comes to game development, I'm largely useless. Like I wouldn't actually be able to go work in the industry as a game dev, right? It's 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 game dev is very different than web dev and very different than application development, right? They require different skill sets. So like the idea so like I'm a relatively decent web dev specifically, right? Like specifically a web dev. Um but my specialty is still in API development, right? Like I don't do a ton of front end, but I can do front end. But the thing is that like it's relatively arbitrary, because like the idea that you're like you got good at programming is more like you got good at like what aspect of programming, right? Because like I'm bad at front end. Actually, I shouldn't say I'm bad at front end. I'm not skilled at front end. But I understand, like I understand a lot of concepts and stuff like that that make me probably seem like a much more proficient software developer than I probably am. If we put it that way, right? I specialize in API development, like backend development. Because like if we look at the skill set, right? So like if you're building a website, right? Because I work on web applications, right? Like web applications, specifically web applications. It's what I've worked on my entire career for the most part, right? Yeah, of course. Naturally. So you've got when you're doing web application development, right? There's a if we focus specifically just on web application development, right? We can look at the different aspects of web application development, right? So when you look at this, you've got your front end, right? And this is your browser, what people see, right? Then you've got your back end, right? And this is a server, right? And then you've got your database. No, but like it's just a different skill set, right? And I don't have a lot of time in that skill set, so I'm not a very good game dev, right? So the front end speaks to the back end, right? So here's the thing. There's concepts, right? You've got your concepts, right? That are the overarching idea of how things function, right? And how things interact, right? And those I've always understood. Like there's never been a time in my development career that I haven't had a fairly deep understanding of how these things interact with each other, right? Like at all. Like that has never been the case for me, right? Like I've always understood how these things work together, right? There's this has never been this part of it has never been a challenge for me. I've understood the three different sections of web development my entire career, the entire time I've ever done any programming at all, right? Like I understood it when I wrote my first line of code. I understood this concept, right? This isn't something that like I had to go out and learn, right? Like I've always understood this concept. So you've got your front end. This is what you look at. This is what you interact with. This right now is predominantly JSON. This does not have to be JSON, but it is JSON, right? And then this is SQL for the most part. Unless you're using a NoSQL database, then you use whatever NoSQL language it is, right? And then this is JavaScript. This is always JavaScript. It has to be JavaScript. And this is some kind of like SQL. I usually use PSQL, which is Postgres. And this is any language you want it to be in. This can be any language you care about. Doesn't matter, right? So this could be JS. This could be Elixir, Python, C/C++. This could be C#. right? Ruby. Doesn't matter. All of these are valid. This list goes on indefinitely, right? Yeah, I save all my VODs. Okay, so the entirety of this, right? So this is a some developers will stop at understanding this flow, right? And understanding this flow is enough to understand the concept, right? So this is the base concept of how websites work, right? This is your base concept. This is how a website works, right? You've got your front end, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You've got your back end, which is going to be any language that you want to program it in, you can do it in, right? And then you've got a database, which is going to be mostly SQL. And it could be NoSQL or GraphQL or whatever. Database, learn SQL. SQL is the predominant language to speak to databases. Most people use a relational database. Just learn SQL. It will serve you well. You don't need all of the other fancy ones, right? You might run into a situation where the fancy database is what you need for a very, very specific subset of development challenges. But for 99.9% of the time, an SQL database is what you need. So just learn SQL. Okay. So somebody who specializes in front end never speaks to the database. They only ever speak to the back end, right? Somebody who specializes in back end has to speak to a database and the front end. And somebody who specializes in SQL or databases only ever speaks to backends. There we go, right? Like we've summed that up, right? Like there's you can specialize in any one of these three. Now, there's the question of the actual server itself, right? What does the server look like, right? Because like the server is completely different, right? So can I open up a new, will this open a new one? No. Paint. We'll open up a second paint here, right? Oops. We'll do this, right? So then if we zoom in on the server itself, right? We have effectively, the server has a couple different situations, right? So the server will have a web server of some kind, right? And it's listening on port 80, right? And 443, I think it is. Yeah, it is 443. And port 443, right? Now, in most cases, this is going to be now Nginx. But it used to be Apache. Right? And these are the two predominant ones that you would have. And then I think it's like IIS if you're Windows. Yeah, it is. So on Windows, yeah. And these are open on this port, on these ports, right? Oh, did they change the name? I don't think they did. Yeah, no, it's still a thing. IIS is still a thing. At any rate, IIS is the Windows server thing, right? Whatever. Anyways, so and then you've either got like you can have a Docker image, or you can have an app that runs, right? And so or something, right? Or exe. It's not actually an exe if you're on Linux. It's a .o file or whatever, right? It's a file that's flagged with executable, but we'll call it an exe just to make this easy, right? And the Docker image needs to expose a port, right? So you could do 8080. Oops. And your exe will also be on a port. And now Nginx receives on port 80 or 443, depending on if you're using SSL. And then it will reroute it to a port over here. It will do effectively port mapping, right? So it'll be like, hey, I received port 80 here. Take that and shunt it over to port 8080 on the local system. And then it will have this communication. Beautiful. For me, mine is not using, I'm not using Docker on my current project, and I'm not, so I'm using an exe, right? Nice and easy, right? So I execute this exe and it goes like local host 8080. I actually don't remember the exact port I'm using. And it communicates back and forth with an Nginx server because I don't use Apache because it's slower. And Nginx is blazingly fast and really easy to use. I honestly think that Nginx has a much better config. Personally, it's more JSON-y. Anyway, so it communicates this way, and I have systemd. Systemd that manages this, right? So that then it's like, all right, well, so you've got a general idea of how all this works. Now, how do microservices work, right? All a microservice is you've got your main box. This is your edge edge server, right? Everybody communicates with this. This communicates out like this to all of your other servers, right? And all of your other servers need to be running something on a port, right? Public. Some kind of public port. Now, this might be an internal network, but this all needs to be public to the edge for them to communicate. But these all communicate, right? And then these might communicate with each other. And then you've got a database over here, and this might communicate with everything, right? Like all of these might communicate with the database back and forth. Now, usually you don't want that because this app could step on this app, could step on this app in database records. So it's best to have each one of these has their own database. Well, now you need 3 different servers with Nginx on all of them or something on all of them, right? Depending on what you're using for your what language you're using and what framework, you may or may not need Nginx, right? And then you have 3 databases and they all communicate with each other like this. And then these communicate with each other like this. Right? And then if you can have like this effectively a giant web, right? Like it gets confusing, and microservices, if you can avoid them, don't do them because they complicate your project. They make some things easier and some things more challenging. right? So it's just a matter of like the more that you understand these concepts, right, the easier web development becomes, like back-end development becomes. And I have a little bit of experience setting up servers and monitoring servers to some degree. I'm not super great at monitoring them, but monitoring servers and stuff like that. Like, so I can set up my own servers and I can tear them down and I can look into them a little bit and stuff like that. I can set up my own databases. I understand how to build actual databases using SQL and like how to structure databases and look at how a database is structured and see and look for improvements that way and stuff like that. Like I understand those concepts and normalizing databases further and stuff like that and performance optimizing a little bit to that degree. Like I'm not an expert on it, but like I understand that, right? And then I understand the structure and stuff like that of web apps quite well. So it's like there's a lot of fluff in web dev that doesn't necessarily need to be there until you get to a certain size. And people use it too early. But so it's what a lot of development ends up coming down to is just like how often have you seen this problem, right? And how like how familiar are you with the problem set? And if the answer is you've seen it a lot, then the answer is that it's easy to deal with, right? So like back-end development largely is integrate. There's kind of like three aspects of back-end development. That's the entirety of back-end development is 3 points effectively, right? Either, or actually I guess it's four. There's 4 parts of back-end development. You're either talking to a database, talk to DB, talk to a front end, talk to a third party, or schedule something to run. And talking to something is talk to is getting or sending data. That's all of back-end development right there. Either you're getting or you're sending data to the database or getting data from the database. You're either sending data to the front end or getting data from the front end. You're either sending data to a third party or getting data from a third party. And then when you're scheduling something, you're saying, hey, I have this data, act on it at some time in the future. And that act on something in the future is one of these 3. So when you look at it, like all you're doing as a backend developer is you're either integrating with a database, integrating with a front end, or integrating with some third party. And there's really nothing else that you're doing. So this is SQL. Learn SQL and you're done. You understand how to get and receive data from a database. This is JSON now. Everybody just does JSON. Guess what? This is also JSON. These look identical. There's almost no difference. The difference here is I build the endpoint, I hit the endpoint. That's almost the entirety of the difference here. Who's sending the HTTP request? Right? So now that we've broken down all of everything that you're ever going to do on the back end effectively for a web app, right? The question then becomes, okay, so if this is the entirety of of web dev, right? Back-end web dev. So what are we doing then? Like, how do we communicate with these things together, right? Well, mostly you just use HTTP. And then when you look at HTTP, there's kind of like there's get, post, and delete. Now, this is not entirely true. There's put and there's patch. But for the most part, these are the only three that you care about. And in reality, these are the only two that you care about. Because the amount of times that I've worked on an API, like worked with an API that actually utilizes delete, is relatively low. A lot of people don't actually implement delete because they just don't care. The delete is just a post to them, right? Or a get request. It's a get or a post from them most of the time. Right? So like instead of actually using delete, it will be like, you know, my settings or my thing, right? My thing. And then it'll be /ID. And then it'll be /delete. And this might be a get or a post. And they'll just completely ignore this. But whatever, doesn't matter. Like I largely don't give a shit, right? Like if this is what they want, this is what they want. I don't really care, right? Whatever. Now as long as you understand effectively these three, then patch and put are easy to understand. Put means that I'm providing everything, all the data that I want put into the database. And patch is a diff update. So I'm only providing the information that I want updated, right? So like if I have a settings JSON object, settings JSON object, my settings object might be like I have a name, you know, display name. Maybe I have an age, you know, a phone number. Oops. And a phone, right? Now, if I want to update my phone number using a put, I have to send and an ID, right? If I want to update my phone number using a put, I have to provide all of this data exactly how I want it in the database. And if I use a patch, right, then maybe I want to update the phone number. So I only send the phone, the new phone number, right? And if I use a post, the post has no, there's no promise of what I'm doing with it at all. Right? Okay. And then let's break down some of the important things to do, the important things about HTTP requests, right? So, like I said, you've got your post, put, and patch, right? Then you've got delete, and you've got a get. There's actually still a couple more, but they're not that used. Like you've got head and options. I think it was options. Right? But this isn't very used. This isn't super used. Like these are used, but they're used in very rare occasions. You don't run into them very often. So these ones send a body. This can send a body, but normally won't. Right? So no body. This 100% no body. This is requesting data. Now, when I say body, right, which means that I'm not sending data in the body of this of the URL, right? So like if I go, my account, right? /ID, right? And I use get, right? Get. This is everything that I send to the server. It's just the path, right? So it'll be like mywebsite.com/my_account/ID or my-account ID, right? Cool. That's it. That's all I'm sending to them effectively, right? Now there's headers and stuff like that you can tack certain bits of information like session cookie data and stuff like that. You can stack all of that in there, and that gives you a little bit of persistence and stuff like that, just to identify yourself and stuff. But you're not sending a body, right? And when I say body, I mean like anything, like the contents of a website would be in the body of the response of a GET request or a POST request, maybe. But usually you would send like meaningful data for a website to render in a GET request, right? Anyways, now if I'm sending a post, now keep in mind we're talking about sending to a server, not getting from a server, right? So if we send a post, we might take this exact same thing, but in the body, maybe we'll send in that data which is the phone number. Right? Like maybe we send this JSON object with it. Right? And now when they get this, they have access to this body. Now the important thing with these three is SSL encrypts all of this. So this is secure. You can send the new phone number over a GET request, but that's in a query parameter. But query parameters aren't encrypted. Right? They're visible to other people. So you don't send sensitive data in a query parameter. That's bad. You send them in a post, a put, or a patch. I'll be right back. Food is ready. You'll Mecca, you'll get there. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna call it here as well. All right, I'll catch you guys all not tomorrow because I'm gonna be out all day tomorrow. But I will catch you guys probably on Monday. All right. Bye-bye. Wait, where's my... Yeah, wait. All right, so long.